Thank you so much for sticking with us tonight, everyone, and thanks to the organizers and so many interesting panelists. It's been a really inspiring evening, and so it's getting a bit dark now, a little bit, and so I'm gonna take you to the stars tonight. So if you wouldn't mind just going straight on to my next slide. My name is Megan Eaves, and I'm a stargazer and an amateur astronomer, and I'm also a delegate for the International Dark Sky Association. And I'm just generally kind of a nighttime advocate. And during the lockdown, I created a series of virtual quarantine stargazing sessions on Twitter with the hashtag Starantine. And Des, who spoke a little bit earlier, he joined for some of the nights as well. So if you go on to my next slide, you can see here something I did from my back garden around late March, I think it was, for a Starantine session. We have Orion was still up and some bright stars, and you can see Venus looking very sort of lustrous. And also, if you look underneath the word stargazing there, you can see the Pleiades asterism. Sometimes that's known as the Seven Sisters. To answer the question, is London a stargazing city? I think yes is the answer. It's a hard question though, because London is, it's one of the most light polluted cities on Earth. But stargazing is still possible here. We can see bright stars, we can see the moon, we can see planets and satellites, and sometimes we can see the International Space Station passing over. So you can see a lot in our night sky here in London. So next slide, please. Here you can see some more images that I've taken here in London. That's the full pink moon that we had in April, which I shot from my back garden in Southeast London through binoculars on a smartphone. And on the left, very recently, just a few nights ago, this is a little glimpse of our visiting comet friend, Neowise, who's been hanging around Earth for a few weeks. And this is pretty special actually, because we won't see this comet again for another 6,800 years. So, and I photographed this from Blythe Hill Fields. So if you go to the next slide, please. So I've left some urban stargazing tips for you. I won't talk too long here. You can read the tips. Feel free to screenshot. Come find me on Twitter at MegoIzzy. You can see my handle there at the bottom right. And I'll put the screenshot up there as well after this. But just stargazing is really, really good for mental and emotional health. And I'm convinced it's kept me sane during lockdown, including other dark times of my life. So it's a really good thing to do. If you go to the next slide, please. In terms of talking about London as a national park city, when you start urban stargazing, you realize how much artificial light there is in our city. And I can tell you from personal experience, once you start noticing the glare of like an unshielded light or excess, street lights, you just kind of never unsee it. And you can see this photo is just up the street from my house. And there's a lot of unnecessary light here. So if you just move on to the next slide, my last one. The great news is, I'll end on a positive note, that we are a national park city, and light pollution is actually the easiest form of pollution to solve. And it really aids in human and planetary health. We focus a lot on the daytime because we are diurnal creatures, we're awake during the day, but we can help to rewild the night, which is what I like to call it. And there's more we can do as well within our councils and communities. I can't really cover it all, obviously, in 3 minutes. So please do find me after if you want to discuss this more. My hope and what I'd really like to work toward is maybe, making London not just a national park city, but even a dark sky city someday. So I really appreciate you sticking around for my talk. You can see there on the slide a couple of ways to just check your home. And I have lots and lots of resources for ways that you can check your home or your streets for little things you can do to changing your bulbs or installing shields on your lights, or just changing your light fixtures that really help. And then we can move on to bigger things like dealing with our councils and stuff like that. So thank you very much for sticking around tonight, and I hope that you all can step outside tonight and enjoy the stars a little bit. I think it may be a little bit clear tonight. And thanks again to the organizers.